Hello. Hello. Anyone around here speak basketball?
This is Abby Silver.
Vision 6'9". What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast. I am your host, Freddie Rivas. And who, sir, with the nice sweater and the nice bright Raps hat are you?
It's my first Raptors hat I ever bought. I'm your producer. I'm Matt Duncan. Fred. The season's over. We took the under and we won. How are you doing?
I absolutely didn't take the under. The season is also not over. The regular season's over. But yeah, I'm doing pretty good. You know, I feel like we'll get to it, and we got the whole off season to mourn a bunch of stuff that you know, I was incorrect on and that sort of thing. But first, sort of a little bit of scheduling news. If you want to hit everybody with it.
Yeah, so we're in our 10th season of the Confederacy of Dunks, and we will be switching to bi-weekly as soon as the Raptors are eliminated. We will wrap up the season. If they do not make it through the play-in this week, then we will have our last episode of season 10, and we'll be continuing on bi-weekly for the summer until October. So that's just a little scheduling change that we're having there. And just one thing that I've added to the podcatchers, I finally started adding chapters in the show notes. So for each segment, you can now click to a segment if you just want to get a quick 15 in or something, or skip ahead to the NBA, whatever you want to do. I've started to put the chapters in, so check those out in the notes. And I'll just remind everyone again, we also put links to our guests and stuff in there. I put a link to Graham's new comedy special, so make sure to check that out. And yeah, just have fun in those show notes, guys.
Mad at you, whimsical, efficient bastard. I don't deserve you. You're the best in the game. Thank you. Okay, let's start with you, Graham. And yeah, just sort of, I'm gonna just throw it out there. I feel like a lot of people are feeling this. Like, what are you looking forward to? It's Raptors Bulls on Wednesday in the play-in, and you know, like, what do you care about? You know, in regards to this game, and if we are still in the playoffs, or if we make the playoffs, like this pod, our next episode is probably going to come like game 3 or something of the Bucks, but that's jumping way too far ahead. So just like sort of, yeah, starting from the Bulls and I guess potentially wherever we go, like, yeah, like what are you excited about? What do you care about?
In a name, Ron Harper Jr. I want to see if he can bring us
Sure
to the promised land.
Yeah.
No, I think the only thing that really this whole season is about Scotty Barnes, development for him, and it's just he's such a competitive guy. You know, he seems to only come on in the fourth quarter, and I wonder if a playoff atmosphere game he'll treat it like a giant fourth quarter. Like I think if he has like a huge game, I think my life going forward will be better. My future will be better. And if he has a bad game, then part of me is going to be like, our future stinks. We played in Tampa for no reason.
Right.
Obviously it's not that dire. He could just have a bad game and he's still going to be great next year. But I'm just really excited to see how he performs and if he can dominate. Yeah, I think we can beat them. I think obviously DeMar is going to go nuts, but we know as Raptors fans that DeMar can also crumble under pressure and under playoff defense. So yeah, I think I'm excited. I'm honestly excited. I don't care. I'm glad we're in the play-in. I'm glad there's something exciting happening. I want us to make the playoffs, and I want to see a first round. I think it'll be exciting, and I know that we're inconsistent, but I think that, if we have a good couple play-in games, get our confidence up, I think that there's a good chance that, we could win a couple games in the first round, and I'm happy with that. That's kind of what I expected from the outside of the season anyway. I picked the under, by the way.
Hey, well,
Yeah.
you won some dough. That about sums up where I'm coming from as well. A couple points I just want to reiterate. First, let me start with Scotty. Just looked up as you were talking. In 32 minutes before he rolled his ankle on Joel Embiid, Scotty had 15 points, 8 assists, and 10 rebounds.
Yeah, I think.
So that was his, like, we saw competitive playoff Scotty in his rookie year for a pretty short time, and it was absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
So to that point, I want to see a lot of the players in a high leverage situations or in a situation, for different reasons. But I think if you're someone who is not interested in the core, not interested in Masai and Nick, whatever, I think you still, and I'm not saying that's you, but you still have Scotty, right? So Scotty could just be, the season could be over and it could be like, okay, we'll see Scotty in 5 months. And we'll be talking about the jump shots he hits with no defenders, at pro-am games and whatever, right? Well, that's what we're right about to go there, where nothing really matters. So I think it is pretty cool to have this game where it matters. Like, does Scotty wilt? Does Scotty like have a horrible game? What does that mean? Or does Scotty crush it and kind of like, it's fourth quarter the whole time? I think that is huge. Also, to your point, I'm excited too, right? I love Raptors basketball, and it's nice to see more.
I think his game is built for the playoffs. I don't think jump shooters can wilt in the playoffs, and I think his game is so like sort of like short little jump hooks. He can score whenever he wants. So I think if he wants to play well, he can. If Nick Nurse lets him.
Yeah, I have high expectations, and I think he's the type of person where if there's any off switch on defense, it's going to get turned on in the playoffs, and it's going to stay on.
Yeah.
And to the last thing I want to touch on before we go to Chelsea here is out of all of the teams that just fully expose the Raptors, they move the ball, they can hit shots, they got a Luka or whomever who can kind of just pick us apart. The Bulls are not that team. They don't have that player. And I think a lot of our scramble defense can bother the hell out of them.
Yeah.
I'd be a little more worried about like Trae Young and the Hawks if we get there, and a little less worried about the Heat, because the Heat also don't really have that player, even though Jimmy Butler's incredible. It's not really that sort of like just dissect your defense. Anyways, I don't want to take all the points away. Chelsea, same question to you. What are you excited about? What do you care about in regards to the play-in and beyond, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with both of you and Scotty Barnes, and that being like a main story point of this game and a main like factor about the future of this team. And I think on that note, kind of flipping it a little bit, I think this game might be the last opportunity we get to see a lot of our favorite guys going out there as Raptors. So I'm excited to see like how they come out, if there's fight. I really want them to have like a good fight. I really want, that core of players to like get out there and fight a couple last times, and just like really put like, I'm not like saying that they're all going to be gone, but like there's the odds of a couple of them going in the off season are pretty high. So I want to see, a good game from some of those guys that might be going, and, a good game from the guys that we might, bet on going into next year. There's a chance that we're betting on Gary Trent Jr. There's a chance that we're betting on some of these other guys. So I would like to see them show what the future could look like. Say if we're missing, a Fred VanVleet or an OG and an OB kind of thing going forward. I want to see that, the future is in somewhat, good hands as we head into the future of maybe a different core, maybe a different coaching staff. So it's going to be a weird summer / next year. But I really think that especially people who are big fans of this core, I think they should just enjoy the fact that they're playing together right now, and hopefully they bring that fight.
Yeah, well said. And I think like, it makes sense that we bring up Scotty first, but let me sort of just ask you this as well, Chelsea. Like, so of the people who sort of have like let's say like plausible, deniability, right? Like, so, Pascal really struggled in the bubble playoffs with the Celtics, and he was pretty good last year against the Sixers. He sort of like, he got what he wanted. He was awesome. Obviously it wasn't enough, but last year in Philly, Fred's hip was done. He's healthy right now. Gary Trent started the playoffs with like a horrible flu and sort of got healthy around game 3. And OG was playing with a broken finger. So of those 3 kind of plausible deniability guys, I know that's not the right term for this, but you know what I mean? The guys that have like sort of an excuse for last year.
Yeah.
Who do you expect to, kind of like who are you expecting out of those 3 are going to like show out as far as like, putting that pressure on Masai, Bobby to be like, okay, well, you know what, maybe, we got to see them in a really competitive scenario. Maybe we should prioritize having them a part of the core.
Yeah. I think based on what I've seen of him, Gary Trent Jr. might be that guy. He is like prone to coming out and having these really big games when there's a little bit of pressure and when, the storyline is really good. He always plays well against, say, like Minnesota. He is one of those guys who can just literally go off and score 30 plus points and get hot. And I think he's really, I'm blanking on the word, but he's due. Oh, that's what I was saying. He's due for a game like that. And especially going into this off season where the Raptors are going to be debating his future and he's going to be trying to like impress the league and say, here I am. And I'm, at the age now where I can really make an impact on a team, whether it's the Raptors or somebody else. I think it's probably in his best interest to come out and play a really strong game and have an impact because, he's, I think 24, 25 now. And, he's getting to the point where he's going to have to step up. And I think he's capable of it. So, and he's one of those players too, that when he gets hot, he gets really hot. So I hope he is feeling up to it. Cause like you said, last year he had that flu. And I think by the end he ended up getting over it and showing, having a couple good games near the end. But, and he's shown really great streaks this year of what he's capable of. So I really hope that, I like him as a player, and I hope whether it's with the Raptors or somewhere else that he finds like a good spot and that he's, the player that he wants to be. Because when he shows up, he's great.
Yeah, and to your point, as far as like those big narrative matchups, like he's been good against the Bucks, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, and
I'm glad he like got some run in the last game of the season. Seemed like he was injured for a while, and then he came back, and he was rusty. He was the opposite of when he's hot, and they were having to pull him. And then there was the last game of the season, nothing mattered. It was a perfect opportunity for him to get some shots up, and he was like the old Gary Trent. We're talking about Gary Trent, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, if you halfway through, I was like, "Are we not?"
You're like, shit.
I was daydreaming again. But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, no, and we'll, I'll be talking about this sort of all summer, but or at least until July 1st or whatever. But putting OG aside for a second, because this isn't really going to affect his money. This game is going to affect Fred and Gary's paychecks this summer with whomever they sign with. Probably more than like, it's like this game is like, I don't know, like how many regular season games is one high leverage playoff game? It's probably like 30. You know what I mean? It was like so many more eyes on it. So if, Fred's had those games where, he'll come out and he goes 1 for 12 from 3 or something. So if he goes 1 for 12 from 3 in this game and the Raptors lose, that could be like a $10 million difference in his contract. You know what I mean? Because I think teams are going to be like, oh, wait a second. They're like, holy shit. Like, is this what we want? Raptors included. And I think the same goes for Gary, right? So in that sense, I think I'm really excited. I mean, I'm even excited for guys like Precious, where it's like, yeah, you've struggled all year or whatever, but it's like, you're going to get some minutes in this game, probably. You will get to play. So like, will you be like cool end of the year last year, Precious, or are you gonna like dribble it off your foot or something? You know what I mean? Like this is so and you know, anyways, I love very competitive basketball, and I think the longer I've been an NBA fan, the more I've graded like, oh right, the summer league's a thing and the preseason's a thing, and also the regular season's important, but really the playoffs sort of they tell you a lot. But okay, let's go to you, Chelsea, on question 2. And this is me loading my opinion onto the question, which I try not to do that much, but straight up, did Nick Nurse quit on the team? And not just with those comments, like sort of like see if you can, you know, consolidate or not consolidate, but see if you can kind of like come at it from like the whole season arc and thinking about how Nick's talked about players and all things considered, you know, is that an overreaction for me to suggest that?
I don't think it's an overreaction. I think, you know, and I mean, we're at the point now, especially in a season like the Raptors have had, and we saw it during the Tampa season, that like as soon as anybody makes a comment, people are going to run with it forever, like playing for what happened. And then we're still talking about it now, right? So
yeah.
I feel like no matter what, any narrative that's coming out of the season is going to be over exaggerated. But it's also to the point where, you know, like he said, it's 10 years and a lot of people will reevaluate where their life is. They'll think about stuff like that. And, you know, the Raptors are at a very weird like turning point. I feel like we're all feeling it. And so, you know, it's not an exaggeration to say that maybe he's over it and maybe he's ready for the next opportunity. And now he's made a name for himself in the NBA as a very strong coach. And the reality is, like, as much as we don't want to say it sometimes, there is a lot of like bias towards like American teams, and the Raptors sometimes get like the bad end of the stick in that perspective because people don't always take them as seriously as they would some American teams who are at the same level. So, you know, there's a lot of factors to put into it. I do think that Nick, you know, likes the franchise. I think that he has a good relationship with the front office. I think, you know, that's evidence in the way that they talk about each other, the fact that he's the Canada basketball coach, all of these other factors. So I kind of go back and forth every day about whether or not he's going to quit, or whether or not they're going to, you know, move on from him. But I don't know. Every day I get a little bit closer to the perspective of maybe it is time for change. Maybe it would be a good way to shake it up. But I definitely do agree with the people who say, okay, either we need to change up the core or we need to change up the coaching staff and see what happens in the next year, because I think we've had 2 kind of very mediocre seasons after a terrible season. And I think people are going to start getting really tired of the same narratives of, okay, this team is good, but they're not great. So that's probably a factor too. And nobody likes to lose and nobody likes to be mediocre. So that's probably a factor for him as well, especially when you win the championship in your first season and then kind of just like slowly go downhill after that. But it's a lot to factor. But his comments were a little surprising, I think, just as they progressed. So it's very interesting.
Yeah. I have a couple points. I'm gonna send it to Graham first, but just to like sort of add to the kind of like Nick Nurse's comments. Like I can't remember a coach in recent memory saying it's been a good run before the season was over.
Yeah.
That to me is like, you know, it's been a good run. It's like you're still running though.
Yeah.
You're going into the playoffs.
You're literally, and it's like, it's not, so you're not just like you're at like the pivotal moment. And then to sort of gaslight reporters and be like, oh, you want to talk about this? It's like, dude, you fully brought this up.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think a big thing that's sort of, you know, important for me anyways, to think about, like when you're thinking about a head coach, there's the number crunchers and there's the assistant coaches and the player development people. The head coach is the main media conduit. It's a massive part of their job. They speak to reporters more than the GM. So like their message they really control the narrative of the team. So that's like, so all that to say, it's like that, like, you know, this is a very media savvy, media trained person inserting that into the conversation. And yeah, sure, you can backpedal, but like that is a very deliberate choice. And even if it's like you let your guard down and that's what happened, it's like, well, then that's still something to think about. And, you know, to your point about the US, it's you know, you can never get too far away from that as a Raptor fan, right? First of all, we have like our previous traumas about it, you know. It's true. I have American family. It's like when a Torontonian's like, oh, like they hate us, I always want to say like it's worse. They don't care. Like they really don't care. And
Yeah.
it's like it's not, no one actively hates Canada. No one actively hates Toronto. We frankly are like quite irrelevant to most conversations happening in the States. And that's why, I mean, us having our own confidence is important, right? And that's sort of the Messiah, I believe, in Toronto. Like that's like been such a positive part of this era. And, you know, not going for that like American, you know, acceptance has been really huge, right? But you know, yeah, like Nurse got his NBA start, I think, with the Vipers in Houston, and won some G League titles there. So there's a lot of history there. I know I'm just jumping to the rumors, right? But you know, Houston's already let go of their coach. Going to get a top draft pick. I think, you know, a lot of those rumors check out to me. You never know. I mean, maybe this is like 3D chess kind of contract negotiation. But to say like it's been a good run, it's like, whoa, you're playing like you have like like if you're playing Hold'em, you just got like a 2 and a 3 offsuit, and you're like all in. So I don't know. It's a wild play to me.
Yeah, it's just, and it also like just to speak to, I've been in that room a couple times, you know, like in the media room, and it, like I've seen the progression from like mid-season to the end of the season, and like by like the last time I was there, people were like, I'm not gonna say over it, but like there was a different vibe. Like the vibe is very weird, and like you can feel it when they lose, you can feel it when they win, like, and I wouldn't be surprised if that just kind of like got to him for a second. Because like when you think about it, he's the one who talks to the team before and after the game, every single game, win or lose, having to answer all these questions, all of this stuff. And after a couple bad seasons, I wouldn't be surprised if it was just kind of a moment of like being over it, you know? But that's just like a guessing game. And I mean, this is what, you know, we talk about. It's mostly just speculation, but you know, yeah.
Teams burnt out. They both
Yeah.
seem on each other. I feel like if you went up to your spouse of 10 years and you were like, you know, been a good run. It's been 10 years, you know, you always reevaluate after 10 years. You know, we'll see where it goes. It's like, we have dinner tonight. Like, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Oh man, that's such a funny way of putting it.
You're probably going to break up with me, dude.
Yeah, honestly, we have dinner tonight. Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, so where are you at, Graham, on as far as like, do you think he quit on the team?
I don't think he. I mean, I don't think in his mind's eye he quit. I don't think he quit. I think he's burnt out. I think they're burnt out. I think they're burnt out on his message. I don't like the idea of switching coaches. I love consistency. I love management and coaches. Like I love like Heat culture and Spurs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I think for I don't know. Consistency is an advantage you can create when you have a disadvantage of being in Canada. But I think that for this particular situation, I do think that for whatever I mean, most people pick Toronto to do a lot better this year. We have a lot of players that are up for free agency that were, you know, like that people were throwing around wild trade rumors for our players. Like they're highly regarded. And for whatever reason, I think a lot of it is we didn't have a center. But even if we did have Jakob Poeltl in the beginning, we'd still only be like a 48-win team, 50-win team maybe. It's not like we'd be blowing the barn doors off. I just think that, I don't know, we should be better than we are. and I don't think we can afford to have a fire sale of all our players. And I think I think he is burnt out, and I think they're burnt out on the message. So
Yeah.
Sorry, did you have some, Chelsea?
No, I agree wholeheartedly with that. Burnout
Yeah.
is very evident, especially when you get to the end of the season. But even mid-season, they were all kind of like, well, and we were like, well, it's January, so
Yeah, he kind of always looks like his car just got towed. You know, but you're just like, Christ, you know.
Yeah.
oh my god, that's a great analogy.
But he's like, he just seems like now he doesn't need. He's just like, it got towed again, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Well, fuck it, you know. And
Yeah, his rental got towed.
yeah.
Um,
That's what happens here. It gets towed. And I knew it.
He just looks at the tow truck driver. Hey, we've had a good run, eh?
Hey, man.
But yeah, I mean, burnout, I think is like I love that framing because brings some kind of like humanity to it. And even my question is like, did he quit? It's like such a sportsy, that's such a like sports zeitgeist question that kind of like has some emptiness to it. But burnout to me makes more sense. And there's like, to your point, Graham, like there were a lot of value with this team, and I too am on the consistency point of things, right? Like I think that sometimes, like I never want to go back to being this place that was rifling through coaches and rifling through players. I think particularly in Toronto, fans that are like, scrap all this, like it's about all these young players. It's like I think they forget about just how much of a trash fire tire fire it was for a long time, and that was a big part of it, right? It's like,
or they're too young to remember,
or that, but it's like
people are too young. I just the like 2004 era of my life with this team was so sad, and it's like I have a Jorge Garbosa bobblehead.
Yeah. Hey, that wasn't even a bad year, man. That was 47 win team, but
third grade, great times.
We were pumped.
It's one of our best years.
Third grade was great that year, guys.
What's that?
I said third grade was great that year.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Oh my god.
Matt just had a heart attack. Yeah. Well, what was I? Yeah.
Yeah, I was already 41.
I was 20.
Yeah. Second year out of college was pretty good.
Yeah, I think I was 19.
No, I was in my last year of university. A bright future ahead of me. Anyway,
yeah, but sorry, did you have something, Graham?
No, I was just thinking about my mistakes in my life, but everything. Yeah,
this is a good time to do that, I guess. Eh?
Yeah.
But like, just to sort of summarize this a little bit, like, or add this on. I feel like I'm someone who's generally been anti-tank, and I think sort of a consistency and like being this team where I have all these like trauma memories of every player that came here was trying to put up shots so they could get money and get out. And it was just Toronto was like
TJ Ford will help us.
Yeah, right. It's like Toronto was like this place where it's just like, awesome, I'm American, I don't care about this place. There's something called Crave, used to HBO. You know what I mean? Like it's like all this shit, right? Like, and
Tracy McGrady literally left because he turned on Canadian Sports Center and there was curling. And he
right.
Decided he's like, I'm out.
Yeah, right. He's
I
like,
am out.
He's like, I love Scotty's tissues, but I'm still out. But like, yeah, like, and listen, I'll always offer this warning sign. If you are a burn it down type person, right? So like, the rumors are, Nurse wants to go back to Houston, whatever. I just like my warning to you is always, Scotty's not from Toronto. Okay.
Yeah.
He's from Florida. And guess what? He'd rather be there than here. So, if you're as good, if he's as good as you think he is, be warned, right? Like, it's starting with Luka. There's the Zion stuff. Like, when you are not one of the 5 glamour markets, which is the New Yorks and Miami, in my opinion, and I don't know if there's anyone that I'm missing, you have a very different strategic game to play, and it's hard. Thank you both so much. And thanks to everyone that support all year and the comments and everything. Maddie, let's bring you in to wrap this baby up. But first, let me go to you, Graham. Give us the plugs. Like, where are you? Where are you performing next? We're going to link the album, but let people know what's going down.
Yeah, well, I don't have any Canadian dates coming up, but I am going to be headlining Zany's Chicago in a couple of days on Wednesday, and then I'm going to be doing a Milwaukee Comedy Club. So we'll see how the Bucks are doing. I'll do some field reporting for you and get back to you there. And but the main thing I need you guys to do is to check out my comedy special and follow me on Instagram. If you do those 2 things, I'll love you forever. Mr. Graham K on Instagram, spelt like the cracker, K-A-Y. And my new comedy special, Graham K live in a bowling alley. It is right here. If you're looking on YouTube, I got my little poster behind. Very proud of it. And I think you're going to like it, and it's free. So just, check it out. And if you don't like it, leave an awful comment and turn it off.
Sure. Yeah. People do that. People are like that. But congrats.
Mostly great comments, though. I have to say, I'm very proud of the ratio of like saying nice things to unnecessarily homophobic comments.
Yeah. Good. That's always nice.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, dude. Chelsea, what's up? What do you want to let people know?
Yeah. In terms of comedy stuff, you can follow me on Instagram at the name here. I can't even point right there. I post most of my shows on Instagram. So if you want to come out, if you're in Toronto, want to come see some improv, you can hit me there. And then in terms of basketball stuff, the Raptors may be ending, but the WNBA is just beginning, which is so exciting. So I'm writing for Winsider this year and a couple other places. So you can check me out on Twitter and follow Winsider and all those cool places, because we got some really fun WNBA coverage coming. And especially because the game is coming up, the WNBA game in Toronto. So it's going to be a fun summer of that. So you can catch all of those things.
Hell yeah. Thanks. Appreciate it. And Maddie D, take it away.
Yeah, thanks for listening, guys. If you watch the segments we put up on YouTube, please go over to a podcatcher of your choice and listen to the full episode there. And then give us some ratings, give us some likes, all that stuff. That'd be great. RaptorsRepublic.com. As always, click on the guest names in the show notes. I will take you to their socials and whatever specials and stuff that they are promoting. And again, we got chapters in there now, so you can kind of move around a little bit in the episodes on the podcatchers. And that's it. Yeah, we'll be back next week, and then we'll be, once the Raptors are done, we'll be switching to bi-weekly. So,
Maddie D, if you think we're all done here, give me those words I love so much. Okay.
Okay.
Listen to full episodes of the Confederacy of Dunks only on the Rapcast.